Strategic analyst, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters, the author of the book, The War After Armageddon. Mr. Peters, you heard Mr. Emerson tell us, yeah, they should be treated as credible, and it's not a matter of if, but when. What do you say?
Well, I think Steve's right. We will get hit again. We've been very, very fortunate. Overall, the feds have done a remarkably good job, because in the end, you just have to be better than your enemies. And you know, I don't want to whack the feds, but we do have a problem now with the Obama administration, which our enemies perceive as weak. I mean, look, let's face it. No American that I know has faith in Janet Napolitano to protect our country. So if we don't have faith in her, why should Al-Qaeda believe that she's going to protect us? So I think there's a perception of weakness that encourages the terrorists to redouble their efforts. And by the way, Eric, I'm going to say this one really got to me personally. Even though the attempt failed to kill people, it obviously disrupted our system. We're jumping through our backsides again. Going to cost us a lot of money. But above all, it got to me because we're so politically correct that on Muslim holidays, our soldiers stand down. If a terrorist captive accuses a soldier of dog-earing a Quran, it's court-martials for everybody. But here is a Muslim extremist trying to kill as many Christians as possible. Dead Jews would have been a bonus, but on Christmas Day. This was not an accident of his frequent flyer miles and blackout dates. It was a radical Muslim trying to kill Christians on our most joyous holiday, and our president still will not use phrases such as radical Islam. In fact, Eric, if you listen to his remarks today, he used this word Islamic once, but only when referring to the formal title of the Islamic Republic of Iran. Look, this is a religious war for our enemies, even if it's not for us.
You know, it brings to mind the 3 Navy SEALs who are really going to go to court next month and trying to defend themselves against a potential court-martial for interrogation techniques that they use. They may have punched a detainee in the stomach or maybe given him a fat lip, and we're up in arms. We may court-martial 3 SEALs. Meanwhile, there are people boarding planes trying to blow us up all over the world. What do we do from here? What's the right answer? Do we step up security in every single airport, international airport on the planet?
Well, I think you have to do several things. You have to do intelligent profiling. When a terrorist father contacts the U.S. Embassy and says, my son's a radical extremist, worry about him, you should probably worry about him. But the problem with the father's notification was our State Department doesn't believe that Islamist extremism exists. The father said, my son's an Islamist extremist, therefore the father must be wrong. I mean, it's just absolutely, this is nuttiness. The best thing we can do, Eric, is to take our enemies seriously. When they say they're doing this for jihad, for their faith, we don't get to decide what's Islam and what's not. Our enemies believe they're doing this for their God. And when you face religious fanatics who are determined to kill you, it is a zero-sum game. Court-martialing SEALs is not going to impress our enemies. Killing them will impress them.
So let me ask you this. Now, do we go ahead and step up and make a preemptive attack into Yemen? We found that Yemen seems to be the new hotbed of al-Qaeda activity. Do we go ahead and possibly, as suggested by some of the people in the Senate, that maybe we do become preemptive and strike first?
Well, without going into any details, we have already become somewhat active in Yemen. And our special operators, our intelligence system is pretty good at doing it in the dark. But we're going to have to start doing things in the daylight in Yemen, because Yemen is a new hotbed. And Eric, among the many problems we have in our state of constant denial, we've convinced ourselves that building a new road or digging a new well in Afghanistan will somehow deter rich kids like Osama bin Laden, who was from a super rich family, or Umar Abdul Muttalib, this Nigerian from a rich banker's family. This isn't a problem of underdevelopment. Foreign aid won't fix this. These are religious fanatics. In fact, Eric, the closest analogy I can get to in our American context is the leaders of Al-Qaeda are often spoiled rich kids, disaffected. They're sort of like Bill Ayers and the Weathermen, except that Bill Ayers was a dilettante, even though he could be deadly, he and his associates. But these guys are disaffected, crazed kids rejecting the more temperate faith of their fathers, and they've decided to recreate their God in a vengeful image. And this is a very serious religious problem, and our president's constant talk about violent extremists
Ralph,
as euphemism doesn't help.
We're going to run out of time. I just want to ask you real quickly, did
Sorry.
Al-Qaeda learn anything from this incident on Christmas Day?
Sure, they learned that we're afraid to admit what our enemy's all about. And let's see if there's an attack on Easter.
All right, there it is, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Peters from Washington.